You're not lazy. Your brain is just wired wrong for modern life. At this exact moment, somewhere in the world, someone is staring at a task they know they should start. And they aren't starting it. The task isn't impossible. It isn't even particularly difficult. But starting feels strangely heavy. So they reach for their phone, scroll for a few minutes, close it, stare at the task again. And eventually they tell themselves the same thing millions of people say every day. I'm just lazy. But here's the uncomfortable truth neuroscience has been quietly revealing for decades. Laziness is often not a character flaw. It's a design mismatch. Because the brain inside your head was built for a world that no longer exists. In 2007, a researcher named Roy Baumeister published findings that would quietly reshape how psychologists think about human willpower. His studies showed that self-control isn't a personality trait. It's a finite resource, one that depletes with use, exactly like a muscle. He called it ego depletion. And when his work spread through the scientific community, it reframed a question millions of people had been asking themselves for years. Not why am I so weak? But why is this so much harder than it should be? Today, we need to talk about why and what you can actually do about it. The mismatch nobody explains. Imagine installing a 300,000-year-old operating system into a machine running modern software. That's essentially what modern life asks your brain to do every single day. The human brain you're using right now evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to solve immediate physical problems. Find food, avoid predators, stay connected to your tribe. Rest when you can, because you never know when you'll need to run. Your brain became extraordinarily good at those things. It learned to prioritize instant rewards over distant ones. Conserve energy wherever possible. Seek novelty, respond to threats, and take the path of least resistance whenever the situation allowed. Those rules once kept humans alive. Today, they make starting your taxes feel harder than running from a predator. Now fast forward to your morning. Instead of immediate physical challenges, you face a list of abstract, delayed, cognitively demanding tasks. Emails, reports, long-term projects, financial planning, career decisions, none of which will kill you today if you ignore them, and none of which produce any immediate reward when you do them. Your brain looks at that list and does exactly what it was designed to do. It resists. Not because you're broken, not because you lack discipline, but because your brain is following rules that made perfect sense for 299,900 years and only stopped making sense about 100 years ago. Once you recognize the pattern, modern life starts making a lot more sense. Your brain on dopamine. To understand why modern life feels so hard, you need to understand one chemical: dopamine. Dopamine is the brain's motivation engine. It drives focus, action, and reward seeking. When your brain anticipates a reward, dopamine surges, and you feel driven. When it's low, everything feels pointless and heavy. Your brain releases dopamine most strongly for immediate rewards: food, social approval, physical pleasure, novelty. These are the things evolution wired your brain to chase because they mattered for survival. Finishing a quarterly report does not trigger that response. Neither does saving for retirement or building a long-term skill. These are real, important tasks. But to your dopamine system, they're essentially invisible. Meanwhile, your phone is a dopamine machine. Every notification, every scroll, every like and reply is a tiny, immediate reward. Your brain isn't choosing the phone over your work because you're weak. It's choosing it because one option speaks directly to its reward system, and the other one doesn't. There's another detail neuroscientists emphasize that rarely shows up in productivity advice. Your brain is fundamentally a prediction machine. Before you invest effort into something, your brain tries to predict whether the effort will produce a reward. If the reward is immediate and obvious, motivation appears quickly. If the reward is distant or uncertain, the brain hesitates. This is why starting a task often feels harder than continuing it. Before you begin, your brain cannot yet see the payoff. Once progress begins and the outcome becomes visible, motivation suddenly appears. What people call laziness is often just the brain refusing to spend energy on something it cannot yet predict will matter. Break large projects into small milestones. Celebrate small wins genuinely. Pair difficult work with something your brain enjoys. Create immediate feedback where the task provides none. You're not fighting laziness. You're engineering dopamine, the decision fatigue nobody talks about. Here's something that might explain why your afternoons feel so much harder than your mornings. Your brain has a finite amount of decision-making energy each day. Every choice you make, no matter how small, draws from that same reservoir. What to eat, which email to answer first, whether to respond to that message, what to watch, what to wear. Each one costs something. Your ancestors made maybe a few dozen meaningful decisions a day. You make hundreds before noon. By mid-afternoon, your brain isn't being lazy. It's being rational. It's depleted. And a depleted brain does what evolution designed it to do. It seeks the path of least resistance, avoids complex tasks, and reaches for whatever is easy and immediately rewarding. This is why the most productive people in the world obsessively reduce decisions. They eat similar meals, wear similar clothes, follow strict routines, not because they're boring, but because they understand that every unnecessary decision is a withdrawal from a limited account. Protect your decisions. Automate the trivial ones. Schedule your hardest work for when your cognitive energy is highest. And stop blaming yourself for the afternoon slump that every human brain on the planet experiences. Attention wasn't designed for this. There is an entire industry built around one goal: capturing your attention and keeping it for as long as possible. The attention economy isn't competing with your discipline. It's competing with your biology. And it's being designed by people who understand that biology extremely well. Every app, every platform, every notification is engineered to exploit the brain's natural response to novelty and reward. They're not competing with your laziness. They're competing with your ancient wiring. And they've spent billions of dollars learning exactly how to win. Your brain was designed to respond to novelty. In the wild, something new and unexpected usually meant something important. A threat, an opportunity, a change in the environment. Ignoring novelty could get you killed. So when your phone lights up, your brain doesn't experience mild curiosity. It experiences a low-level alert. Something new is happening. Pay attention. Multiply that by hundreds of interruptions a day, and you end up with a brain that is chronically overstimulated, fragmented, and exhausted. Not from doing too much, but from being pulled in too many directions by systems designed to pull it. Chronic distraction is not a character flaw. It is a rational response to an irrational environment. And when this kind of distraction happens day after day, something worse eventually appears. Shame. The shame loop. When people struggle to start tasks, stay focused, or follow through on their intentions, they don't just feel frustrated. They feel ashamed. And shame is one of the most powerful motivational killers the brain can experience. Because when people believe failure reflects who they are, they stop experimenting with what they do. Every missed workout, every unfinished project, every afternoon lost to distraction becomes more evidence of a fundamental flaw in their character. And over time, that belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Why try hard if you already know you're the kind of person who can't follow through? But here's what's true. You are not lazy. You are a human being with a 300,000-year-old brain, navigating a world that has changed faster in the last 50 years than in the previous 50,000. The fact that you struggled is not evidence of weakness. It's evidence that the environment is genuinely measurably difficult for the hardware you're working with. The most important shift you can make is this one. Stop trying to fix your character and start designing your environment. Because your brain responds to its environment. Always has. And when you build an environment that works with your wiring instead of against it, the person you've been trying to become through sheer willpower starts showing up on their own. Design, not discipline. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Discipline is asking your brain to override its instincts through force of will. It works sometimes, but it's exhausting, it's unreliable, and it almost always breaks down under pressure. Design is building an environment where the right behavior is also the easiest behavior, where the path of least resistance leads somewhere good, where your ancient brain's instincts work for your modern goals instead of against them. Keep your phone out of your bedroom so the morning belongs to you. Break your biggest goal into steps small enough that starting feels trivial. Do your most important work before decision fatigue sets in. Create rituals that signal to your brain that it's time to focus. None of this requires more willpower. It requires more understanding. When you understand your brain, the goal stops being discipline. The goal becomes design. The last thing. For years, many people believe the gap between who they are and who they want to be is a character problem. It isn't. It's a design problem. Your brain is not broken. It is not weak, and it is certainly not lazy. It is an extraordinarily sophisticated survival machine operating in an environment it was never designed for. And when you stop fighting that machine and start designing your life around how it actually works, something surprising happens. Motivation stops feeling like something you have to force, and starts feeling like something that simply appears. The most productive thing you will ever do is understand the tool you're already using. Pause. And that tool, the human brain, remains the most remarkable system ever built. If this shifted how you think about motivation, tell me in the comments. I'm curious what part resonated most. And if you enjoy exploring ideas like this, about the hidden forces shaping how we live and think, subscribe. There's a lot more coming.